So we're going to start laying out our raised bed and getting it all ready to go, so we can start building it. I've got my marking paint here. I always like, you know, kind of just to visualize and see what something's going to look like using the marking paint. And I got to set out the well house, you know, lay out how big I'm going to make the well house, and then the raised bed right here. Make sure it'll flow, give me room for other ones. I don't want to just put one raised bed up and then not be able to get any more in. So let's get all this marked up and kind of take a look at what we're going with. All right, so obviously this is just, lines aren't straight, it's not squared. This is just for me to get a visual on how it's going to look. So I think this is what we're going to do right here. This is going to be the long sides are 20 foot and the bed itself is 3 foot. 3 foot bed's a really good size for a raised bed, because that way you can get to both sides easy. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room, and you got a lot of, you know, plant everything down the center. So that's a total 40 foot row, 37 feet of straight line. And in a raised bed, that's a lot. I like raised beds. You can get more yield out of a raised bed than you can in the ground, a whole lot more. And they retain water, take a whole lot less water, way easier to control weeds, less maintenance. So that's probably all I'll ever go with again, is raised beds. A lot better than tilling, just better all around in my opinion. First thing I've got to do, because you can see the slope in the yard here, I'm going to run a line and use my line level, and my plan is to make the beds 30 inches average, but I need to see the drop and how much lower I am over here, because I want the top of the beds to be level. And this way I'm going to be able, this way I'll know if, instead of having it 30 and, you know, everything being all cockeyed, I can get everything level, split the difference. So up there might be like 20 something inches, and, you know, the low spot being 30 inches. So got my string and my line level, run this line and hook it up, and we'll see where we're at. All right, so like I said, that is a pretty good drop, 18 inches from that. This side up here is 18 inches higher than this side down here. Okay, so I just explained, I got to keep the top level, did the math on that. Originally I'd marked this off as doing 20 foot on my long legs. However, I got to thinking about the wood I have. Most of the wood was 8 foot. I didn't have as many 12 foot sections. So I'm actually gonna go 16 feet. That way I have less uprights. I'll trim everything with the chainsaw. I'm not gonna cut anything super exact. It's gonna be a lot easier to trim it after we get most of it put together. And I've got my supervisor slash nuisance out here. He's helping me. Goodness knows what he's chewing on. Oh, pine cone. Guess pine cones are tasty. that thing right there. So I was gonna go take a little break, but now I really gotta get this thing finished because that thing decided it'd be fun to try and play with the peppers. I had them sitting right there so they would get some sun and rain when it was raining. He's such a little turd. Well, let's get this thing finished. So I said I wasn't going to take a break, but whew, am I going to take a break? It is warm today. We've been out here working for a while. So you guys can see where we're at right now. Ended up being about 30, well, on the top side about 32 inches. Down here it's pretty high. Probably if you're making this, you wouldn't want to get it this high. For me, it's not a big deal because I have a ton of wood I need to get rid of. So, you know, it's just fine. Now, where it is getting a little bit too low up here, all I'm going to do is add some wood here and bring it on up to bring it up a little bit, so that where it's really low over here, it'll just give me a little bit more room for some soil. Well, at least 10 inches of soil, and I want to have plenty of hugelkultur underneath of it, so it's going to work out all right. It's just easier for me to build this than try to explain it. And I can hear you guys yelling at me. Even Papa Hugh. Let me rephrase that. I can hear you guys yelling at me, especially Papa Hugh, who I've been building this, saying, cut everything at once. Well, I'm going to cut everything at once when we get to the sides and I know my measurements. But seeing how I was just eyeballing it, and I'm using scrap lumber that's all different dimensions, sizes. None of it's anywhere near straight or square. I wanted to get the basic frame made first, and then when I start putting all the wood on the sides, then I'll lay a bunch of pieces out at once and cut all the wood for the sides at once. So don't worry. I know what you all were fussing about. There's at least one person, I know one of that was, if there was only one, it was my dad. So we're gonna go in here and air conditioning for a minute and cool down. I think Hopper is sitting at the door waiting on me because he's hot. And then we'll be back in just a minute and we're gonna start getting the sides on and getting this thing finished. No way I'm gonna get everything in it and all the dirt in it today, I don't think. But I wanna get all the sides done, and then in the morning we can start with the hugelkultur part and getting it all filled up. We'll be out once the sun moves over and we're in the shade. So go sit down and take a break for a couple minutes. All right, so finally we've got our basic frame built here. Now we can start taking all this other wood that I've got laying over here and adding it to the sides and making it one solid box. You can see it's still a little bit shaky right now, but as we add the wood all the way down, it's going to tighten everything up. We'll get everything, all the legs all squared up and level, and we'll be good to go. almost finished. The only thing I've got to do is, this is really shallow right here. Really want to pick it up just a little bit. I think we're going to do like 1, maybe 2 more boards right here just for this box to give a little extra room for wood and dirt. And then we will be starting the rather tedious process, filling up with dirt and logs. Well, logs and then dirt. And I will be explaining the hugelkultur philosophy, what it is and how you do it, so that if it's something you think might be cool or something you might be interested in, you can do it yourself. Plus, I've got to say, this does look a lot better than I really thought it was going to. I was more after function than I was aesthetics, but for where it's at, being here, you know, with the log cabin, I'm pretty happy with it. So let's get this last little part up, and then we'll start filling it up. All right, and that's pretty much a wrap. Rustic, not super pretty, kind of square, but you know what? It's going to work. It's going to work well. I've got to get vegetables in the ground that Yaya started for me. So I was thinking, I thought this thing would tighten up. This thing is solid. You know, when I just had the top boards on, it was wobbly. I was worried about it, but this thing is absolutely just not going anywhere now. especially once it's full of dirt. So if you ever want to build a raised bed, this is one way to do it. A couple notes real quick before I hop off. If you wanted to use nails instead of screws, it would probably be a better idea to take your upright timbers and put them on the outside of your boards, so that as the dirt pushes out, it will hold the weight. You know, it won't pull the nails loose here. I use 4-inch deck screws, so they're not going anywhere. And I also, on all the long runs, you'll notice I put a center support in that's going to help reinforce it. This isn't treated lumber. It's going to last 4 or 5 years, but as it might last longer. But as this wood starts to rot and the wood inside, I can always go through and just add extra boards. You know, just put boards over it. This was more for function than aesthetics. But that's going to be a wrap for this part. Make sure and like, subscribe, and share so that you don't miss our hugelkultur class, where we're going to finish cleaning up all this mess, and we're going to get this thing set up and our plants planted. And I'm really looking forward to it, because all this mess here, you know, all the little pieces of dirt, little pieces of wood, the last bit of the sawdust, and all the rest of this will finally be disappearing, going into our planter here. So we'll be able to finish getting this place cleaned up. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.